Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Bearcat Update. I'm your host, Tim Hanna. We got a great show for you today. We're going to talk Bearcat Track and Field and even take a look at a Northwest fraternity giving back to the community. We're going to start off the show, though, with men's basketball as they were in action this past week. Thursday, they went to Lincoln University where they would get that win, and then on Saturday, travel to Lindenwood to take on the Lions. In that game against Lindenwood, they would break a school record shooting 67.9% from the field. They'd start the game off early, hitting 18 of their first 22 shots for a blistering 82%. They would build up a 17-point lead late in the first half and cruise to an 89-64 victory. That gives the Bearcats 21 wins on the season, the sixth straight season they've won over 20 games. Pitts would lead the way, 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 9 for 10 from the field. Woods and Mosby added 14 apiece, and Schneider shot 4 for 5 from 3, giving him 12. Now we're going to take a look at Maryville Spoofhound High School highlights as they were in action on Monday and Friday. On Monday, Hannah Ryan was there as they were taking on Plattsburgh. Spoofhounds coming to this one 15-3, riding a few game winning streak. Here, the three-pointer in the corner by Zimmerman drains that one, puts them up early, and they would not look back. Here, a designed alley-oop play. Zimmerman to Jackson go lightly. 5-3, Spoofhounds lead, and they would run away with this one, never giving Plattsburgh a chance as they would win final 60-43. They'd also be in action on senior night, Friday night, taking on the Smithville Warriors. They'd win that one and go to 18-3 on the season overall, 4-0 in conference. We'll be looking out for the Spoofhounds as they wind down their season with just 2 weeks left. All away games, though, as that senior night, of course, being their last home game. And we'll see how they do come postseason. We'll now take a look at Bearcat Track and Field. As the team was spread out this past weekend, as a select few traveled to Nebraska-Lincoln to compete in the Frank Savine Husker Invitational. Another group of women multis were down south in Warrensburg taking part in the pentathlon at the Mule Relays, while the rest of the team was in Mankato, Minnesota, competing at the Ted Nelson Classic at the University of Minnesota, Mankato. Shelly Laures won the women's indoor pentathlon at Central Missouri with a score of 3,231. Audrey Wichman took second. Wichman also improved her NCAA provisional mark in high jump, clearing 5.6 to score 830 points. Brandon Phipps, competing in Nebraska, ran the 5,000 meters against many D1 competition. He finished third overall with a provisional time of 14 minutes, 38 seconds. Nicole Harnish was in Mankato where she won the weight throw with a mark of 50 feet, 1.5. She also finished third in the shot put with a best throw of 39 feet. On the guys' side, Dallas Steiner, ran 50.37 to take third in the 400, and Jawan Bush finished sixth in a time of 50.87. Now, before the team split up into those three meets, Cliff Scott caught up with members of the Northwest Track and Field team to talk about how they prepared for this upcoming weekend.
The Bearcat Track team is beginning the transition from indoor back to outdoor competition. With great expectations from the Bearcats this spring, we caught up with senior Zenova Harris to discuss the goals for the season.
Top 3 is our goal, so we're working really hard to get to that, and my goal as a member of this team is just to make sure we all work hard every day, put in the work so we can meet that top 3 goal in the MIAA conference.
We also caught up with freshman Jawan Bush to discuss his special workout routines.
I have to wake up and I have to make sure I at least drink 1 full bottle of water, and then also I stretch a lot because I've had injuries in the past, so I always make sure to rather stretch more than less, and then regret it back and later in the day.
My most memorable moment was placing top 3 at conference for the 4x1 last year, and that was just a great experience, and that experience alone is why I worked so hard to get to where I am now.
The first meet on the 4x4, I didn't know what to expect, and I was anchored, but it was like the whole team was literally watching the 4x4, and everyone was like standing up cheering. Not one person was sitting down or anything. And I was anchored. It felt like the whole team wanted me to be successful and to actually be a part of the family and actually to win.
Zenova Harris assures us that when she's done with her track career, she still plans to be involved with the sport.
Right now, I don't have any ideas on if I want to be a grad assistant for a team or if I go to grad school because I'm not able to go here for grad school. But if I go somewhere, I won't count being a grad assistant for a track team out. I just haven't decided yet.
Reporting for Bearcat Update, I'm Cliff Scott.
Thanks, Cliff. The Bearcat Track and Field team will now head to South Dakota State Classic starting on Friday in Brookings, South Dakota. Now we're going to take a quick break. When we return, I sit down with Shelly Laures of the Northwest Track and Field team to talk about her season and competing in the pentathlon this weekend. Stay tuned. You're watching Bearcat Update. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. As I mentioned before the break, the track team was all over the place this past weekend, and Shelly Laures, like flowers, is with me right now. She won the women's indoor pentathlon at Central Missouri with a score of 3,231. Pleasure to have you on, Shelly. What a weekend it was for you, taking home that first place. I know we talked before the show. You were shocked by that. Why is that?
Well, I just was pretty shocked. You know, sometimes in the multi, it takes a little while, like a couple years for things to like come together, and finally, like, it's been frustrating after a while, but just this weekend, a lot of things came together that needed to come together, and I was surprised by that as well, but last thing I expected was to come out on top with a win, so, but it was great.
That is true with the multi. It's one of those, obviously, it's the pentathlon, so 5 events. That's a lot of pressure to get 5 different things that are completely different to come together. Kind of, for people who don't know the pentathlon, kind of walk us through what events they are and maybe the order you got to go through.
Yeah, of course. So the pentathlon is 5 events. It's a winter event for women and indoor season. And you start with the 60-meter hurdles, and then you have high jump, and then shot put, long jump, and then you run the 800 at the end. So
what's that transition like, going from, say, like a hurdle event, which is a sprint, and then you have to throw, and then you got to go jump, and then you have to cap it all off with an 800 run? And I know, as you said, that's not something you were used to coming to college.
Not at all, no. But it's good. It definitely keeps you very interested and keeps you on your toes about what's going on and everything. There's lots of things. I enjoy it a lot because you just literally get to play track, which is awesome. But at the same time, there is a lot of training that you have to go through, and you're kind of dipping your toes in every little thing, and it's really enjoyable. So yeah, but it's frustrating sometimes. But then when you have good events and you have bad events, but when you're stacking them all up and it comes down to the 8 at the end, it's just, you got to just give it all you got.
So you got to just go for broke, right?
Exactly.
So let's kind of talk about yourself. From Platte County, I guess is the school, but Platte City is the town. What made you come to Northwest, and how did you get involved in the multi? What did you run in high school that I guess Coach Emily Peterson saw in you and was just like, she's going to be perfect for this? Yeah,
well, in high school, I was mainly a high jumper and a long jumper. I also ran the 4x4 for our team, or 4x2s, getting thrown into relays and stuff like that. But I did have a coach in high school who graduated from Northwest, ran track here at Northwest, and actually was a GA, and he wound up coming to my high school and coaching me through some of my years and stuff. And so he was a deck here, and so I was interested in like all these different things that he got to do, and so he learned to be a deck and got to do the throwing, do the running, do the jumping, all these different things, and I was like, man, you know, if I were to go to college and run track in college, then that's exactly what I would want to do, and so he kind of introduced me to Emily and introduced me to Coach, and I came on a visit and just really loved it, and now I'm here doing my own heptathlon, and so I really love it and I really enjoy it, but yeah.
When you say you came to campus, you fell in love with it. What about Northwest really, I guess, grabbed you? Obviously, your coach was probably pushing you to come here as an alumni. I know there's a few other Platte County athletes here, Kevin Schultz, of course. But yeah, like what about Northwest like really grabbed you?
Well, Kevin was really helpful because I could ask him like what he thought of it his freshman year, how he felt transitioning from only a few events in high school to a decathlon athlete, you know, and how that would like look and see how I could put myself into that situation, you know. And so he really loved it, and he just, I remember something he said was telling me, he was like, Coach M and Coach Laures are just the best, and the team is awesome. And so I was like, man, I really want to be a part of that. And so coming on my visit, I was able to see that, you know, went to eat with Coach Laures and a couple of the girls, especially some of the multis who were really awesome, and they seemed like really good teammates, and they were all just very happy and very like close, and so I was like thinking, man, that's really something I want. And so I decided that Northwest would be the place for me. So
yeah, the team definitely does have a family mentality. I know they always preach that. Talking about the multi, I guess we can focus on training. What's that like? I know a lot of people probably don't understand that when you have to train for, well, outdoor 7 events, indoor 5 events, like what your body goes through and practices. You guys practice like 3 times a day sometimes. Like, explain to me exactly what that's like, because I don't know what it's like. I only ran the 400, so I would show up, I would run once, I maybe would lift in the morning, but I would see Kevin as my roommate. He was always there, and I see you guys always there at the track. So what's that like continually having to practice like 3 times a day?
Well, you're right. Track, you definitely make Lambkin or like the track your second home. But it's enjoyable. It definitely keeps you pretty busy. Yeah, we'll have weightlifting and like practice on top of that normally. But every day we'll go an hour before practice, and each day we have a different event. And so Mondays are usually for high jump. Tuesdays we hurdle. Wednesdays we'll throw shot, or when we're outdoor, throw jav too at the same time. Javelin. Sorry, I didn't know. And then long jump on Thursday, and kind of fill in whatever needs to be worked on Friday, or pre-meet. Now that we're into our season, we'll do our pre-meet on Friday and then compete for the rest of the weekend. So yeah, it definitely keeps us on our toes, but it's good because we're able to come in that hour before practice, finish our practice right when the rest of the team is finishing their practice, then do the workout or lift or exercise on top of that with the whole rest of the team. So even though it's kind of like individualized, where we're kind of like set apart sometimes from the rest of the team, it's good because we do get to like meet right back up with them to be at practice or to go to meets and stuff like that. So yeah, but I mean overall it's a lot, but at the same time like it takes some getting used to. But now that I'm a sophomore, I'm a lot more used to it than I was last year, and I can definitely see how I've improved. Just making time for that, or deciding like what kind of rest and recovery I need, and knowing how to manage that and stuff. So yeah, it's taken a little bit of practice, but at the same time, like I love it, and I just think it's great, and I know that all the other multis that are on our team love it too. So.
Well, it sounds like you're having a great season. Obviously, congrats again on the victory this weekend at the Mule Relays. Where are you going next, real quick, before we gotta go to commercial?
Where are we going this weekend?
Yes, this weekend. Yeah.
Well, this weekend we're at South Dakota State in Brookings, South Dakota. And so we'll see how that goes.
It's going to be exciting. Good luck to you. Good luck to the rest of the team. That's going to wrap it up for this segment, guys. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. You're watching Bearcat Update here on KNWT Channel 8. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. Now on Saturday, Northwest fraternity Alpha Gamma Rho was raising money for a member of the Bearcat football team. Cole Forney was recently in a car accident, and they wanted to raise money to help pay for his medical expenses. Blake Fowle was out there to catch all the action.
How many you want, Nick?
It's a cold and windy morning outside the courthouse on February 4th, but that is not stopping the men of the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity from helping raise money for Cole Forney and his mounting medical expenses. It's a simple fundraiser, and for the price of $5, one could receive a bagged lunch consisting of a hamburger or hot dog, a small bag of chips, and a couple cookies. Derek Method, the fraternity's philanthropy chairman, has more on how the simple fundraiser came to be.
We're sitting in our fraternity meeting on Monday night, and Cole Bixler is one in the fraternity, and he's one of the football team. He's like, said maybe we can do something for Cole just to try to help him with the medical expenses. So we came up with a grab bag, and so hot dog, hamburgers, and chips and cookies, and it took off from there. I mean, it's amazing what you can do when a community gets together and help support one of their own.
Cole Bixler is another member of Alpha Gamma Rho and is a member of the football team, and here's what the fundraiser means to the team.
It's meant a lot. I mean, we doing the GoFundMe was a big part, but we just wanted to, at AGR, we wanted to be able to do our own little fundraiser and help out some more with whatever we could.
Bixler also gave an update on how Forney was doing on his recovery.
He's doing really well. He's recovering. He's off his ventilator. Last time I heard, he's just had his last surgery. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. He'll be moving to, I think, Madonna Research Center or Rehabilitation Center in Lincoln, Nebraska to go throughout his rehab so he can get better.
At the time of editing, the GoFundMe page has reached $29,000, and now everyone is wishing for a speedy recovery for Cole Forney.
Get well soon, Cole!
From Bearcat Update, I'm Blake Fowle.
Thanks, Blake. Earlier this week, the Bearcat football team also met up on the field to release balloons for a fallen teammate as we're approaching the one-year anniversary of the loss of Nicholas Turner. Morgan Jones was there to catch up with some of Nick's friends and talk about what he meant to not only this program, but the community as a whole. Morgan?
On January 31st, 2016, Northwest lost an energetic and tough competitor, Nicholas Turner. The defensive end for the men's Bearcat football team finished his 2015 season with 22 tackles and recorded a sack in the national title win over Shepherd. Nick was from St. Louis, Missouri, and majored in corporate recreation and wellness. His closest friend, Karen Sutherland, put together a candlelight and balloon release that was held on Monday. The next day, I got to chat with Karen, and she explained the type of person Nick was.
We like to laugh and have fun, but he was also really serious.
Nick's love for the game stood out. He made football his focus and main goal.
When it came to him playing football, that was his thing. On the nights before football games, typically we would hang out after practice, stay up late, even though he had weights in the morning, things like that. But the night before a game, he didn't play that. He went to sleep on time. He, made sure he was straight so he could get up early in the morning and play a good game.
He was one who was determined and didn't let anything stop him. His legacy here at Northwest continues.
So if he left anything behind for the Northwest community and the football team as a whole, it would be to do what you had to do. Stay strong, keep the goal in sight, and don't stop until you finish it.
A week before Nick's death, him and Karen bumped heads. Typical friendship. Of course, it wasn't long before the two made up.
That last day that we spent together, we had a conversation, and I can just remember him saying that regardless of what happened, he was always going to be here for me. And even when we had our bad days, he still loved me. He still, we were friends to the end.
Whether it may be through a dream, a feeling sensation, or a song on the radio, your deceased loved ones attempt to connect with you after their passing.
He was my go-to person. I told him pretty much everything that happened or that went on, whether it be something serious or something funny, whatever it was. So when those situations happen now, it's like I find myself sometimes speaking out loud, like he's, sitting right there next to me, and I feel like he's listening to me.
Reporting for BCU, I am Morgan Jones.
Thanks, Morgan. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll have a preview of the Bearcat baseball season. Stay tuned. You're watching Bearcat Update. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. Now turning to baseball and Bearcat baseball. Max Moore caught up with the Bearcat baseball team before they went on a 9-day road trip where they kicked off their season in Alva, Oklahoma. Max?
The Northwest Missouri State baseball team looks to build off last year's success with a similar goal.
Get back to the conference tournament whatever way we can, and then an ultimate goal would be to play in a regional somewhere.
The team is set up well to accomplish that goal. The Bearcats returned 12 seniors and plenty of underclassmen who saw action in 2016. Among the seniors returning is the California native Nico Pablo. Pablo started out his career in the infield and in the batting lineup. He then transitioned from inside the batter's box to just 60 feet 6 inches away to the pitcher's mound. The dual threat player takes on another role as the team's closer, replacing former closer Carson Smith. Pablo ensures that he and his teammates made significant strides in the offseason.
We worked a lot harder during the fall. We took things a lot seriously, and as returners, we're doing really, really well right now.
The returning players bring more experience to the table. Another year of hitting, another year of pitching, and another year of being together. The Bearcats have the opportunity to start 2017 strong with a trip to Alva, Oklahoma to take on Fort Hays State and Northwestern Oklahoma State. Opening weekend provides an opportunity for teams to show off their progress. Head coach Darren Laures says keeping things simple is the key to opening weekend.
I think any opening weekend, you want to do the basics very well. And I think if you do that early, you have an opportunity to be successful and have a chance to win a ball game.
After a 3-day stint in Oklahoma, Northwest could return home with a head start toward a winning season, a feat the team has not accomplished since 2008. Later this week, the team travels to Arkansas for a slate of non-conference matchups. Reporting for Bearcat Update, I'm Max Moore.
Thanks, Max. Through the first 2 games, 29 of the total 48 batters faced were struck out, 27 strikeouts by Bearcat starters. Saturday, Bats would come alive with a 15-0 victory over Northwest Oklahoma. 9 different Bearcats accounted for the team total of 16 hits, and Joe Hyptis went a full 7 innings, giving up only 2 hits and 3 walks. Now, not to mention, we can't do Bearcat Update without mentioning the biggest game in America. Let's take a look at those highlights. Super Bowl 51, Tom Brady looking for his 5th title in this one. Late in the game, they were trailing at one point, down 28-3, but the comeback would begin, led by possibly the greatest quarterback of all time. Many consider him to be. This pass up, tipped in the air. Julian Edelman's going to come up with it. He beats out 3 Falcons defenders there. As a circus catch, probably the catch of the century, many will say. A lot of commentators joke that was getting them back for the New York Giants Tyree helmet catch. And there, going into the end zone is White there. James White, he'd have 2 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown. Here's the second one for White. In overtime, they'd get the ball, and they'd win the coin toss, and he would not be denied there. They'd review it, but it would be a touchdown, and that is game 34-28. Thomas Brady, 5 rings, the most of any quarterback in league history, surpassing Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw. Tom Brady would finish the game 43 completions, 62 attempts, and a record-breaking 466 yards for a Super Bowl performance. He'd have 2 touchdowns and that lone interception. 5 sacks on the night, though. He was beaten up, but he'd end with an overall rating of 95.2, and he'd go home with his 4th Super Bowl MVP. And with that win, the New England Patriots capture yet another Super Bowl championship, and that gives Tom Brady his 5th ring, the most among quarterbacks, cementing him as one of the greatest of all time. That's all the time we have here for Bearcat Update. Thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to catch us every Monday through Thursday at 6 o'clock if you missed any part of the show tonight. Be sure to follow us on social media, Bearcat Update _8 on Twitter, and check us out on Facebook on the KNWT 8 page. That's all the time we have for myself and my lovely staff. I'm Tim Hanna, signing off for Bearcat Update.